Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Well, I'm trying to be. It's good morning. Good morning. I'm Bob Pace, and here we are to fight CPS and hang on to our children. I want to give a warm welcome to all of you that have found me and that are searching for answers of how to deal with this agency called what I call the Child Protection System. It's in every state, in every county. And its whole purpose, mandated by Congress, a part of social services, to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and to help out families in need in food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, medical, and to look for a job, to help find a job. Furthermore, if they plan to take the children from the home, break up the family, because of extreme danger to the children, then they're supposed to attempt to try to do family reunification. They're supposed to do family reunification. That means bring the families back together, because studies shown that the best parents are the biological parents. And I know in 1979, there was a incentive passed by Clinton, the president at that time, where they really emphasize a quota or status of getting children adopted into foster care, which is a shame because it looks like apparently that family reunification has taken back seat to thousands and thousands of children who are forced to be adopted. And I'm talking about a bad thing about CPS. I know it's very hard, all of you that come into this room and or hear me on this recording, that you've encountered an entity that doesn't really work well with families. Now, what I mean by that, I don't mean it absolute. There are pockets of good CPS out there. But in my experience, and I've been doing this for 15 years, and the experience of about over 600 people I've talked to, close to 700, apparently it's all for money. It's $1 trillion business. They don't care about the families. They don't care about reunification. All they want to do is traffic your children, steal your children into foster care, which has really been turning out to be a bad experience. A lot of children are molested or hurt in foster care, even by the children of the foster care parents. The answer isn't foster care. The answer isn't money. The answer is to help out these families that are in terribly need. They may be going through a lot of things right now because food is very expensive. It's almost doubled than it has a year ago or 2 years. Gasoline is very expensive. And so as rent's gone up, everything. And these people, they say they have jobs out there for everyone, but the jobs that do have are far and few. And I know because I'm trying to look for work myself. And I think my age is my factor working against me or being a part of the CPS experience. But I'm here to help you. And I want to help you. And there are 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. One is just by being in this room and expressing emojis and taking notes and hearing what I have to say. Second way is to type in comments about your questions. Type in either comments or questions, message me or text me as pertain to CPS. And all I ask you is your first name, your city or your county, your state, and also if you're from another country. There's 15 countries that I've spoken to several times. They have CPS issues too. And lastly, try to be complete with your case. Try to tell me as much as you can about your case so I can understand you and start from the beginning. The third way to interact with the podcast is to schedule to be our guest. And to be our guest, all you have to do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace works really hard behind the scenes, and all you do is email her. Now, her email is grace at vincentwdavis.com. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I have a morning and evening show, Monday through Sunday. And it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time, for 1 hour each. There are exceptions, like today, I'm on early at 8 o'clock in the morning because of a special podcast that my attorney you just heard, Vincent Davis, is going to be talking to you all. And I want to make sure that my podcast doesn't interfere with people that want to see Mr. Davis. And all you need to do is email Grace with a morning or evening and a Monday through Sunday time. And she'll take care of the rest, give you the links, and tell you what you can do and not do. Now, a fourth way to be on the podcast is to call my office number. It's 626-698-0990. And I will take calls. And so that is the fourth way. Now, by being a guest on my podcast or by doing a phone call on speakerphone, you qualify for a free 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis. Now, as you just heard on the show, and you've seen him, he is a pit bull of an attorney. He's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He's gotten children back. He's also a trial attorney. And he works in the area of dependency law. Juvenile family dependency law is the area you're in. You don't want a criminal lawyer. You don't want an immigration lawyer. You don't want a medical lawyer. You need a lawyer that is, his expertise is juvenile family dependency law. That's what you want. And I can't emphasize it enough. So he will talk to you for 15 minutes What you need to do, though, is you need to either make a phone call call my office number, or be a guest, and that will guarantee the 15 minutes. Now, if you need a longer time to talk to Mr. Davis, I've arranged a 30-minute session with him. The ticket is run across the bottom of my screen, and it'll run through the whole show. But all you need to do is go to that website and reserve a time. It's a private consultation for 30 minutes, and it's only $60. It's $60 for 30 minutes. And so he will talk to you. And as I say, he is warm, compassionate. He has his own podcast. He gives as much as his time as he can, and he will talk to you. If you want him to represent you, you want to retain him. He's out of Arcadia, south of Los Angeles, but he works in Riverside, San Bernardino, LA County, and Orange County, and up north in Northern California. He has a case up there. He has also a case in Oklahoma. He'll work anywhere in the United States. And so you can call in at 888-888-6582 and make reservations with Mr. Davis to be retained. Not reservations, but to retain him. That means you got to put in a certain amount of money, depending where your case is at, your complexity of your case, how long your case has been going on, will all determine on the price there. But my rule number one, and since we're talking about rules, is to have attorney. Without attorney, you're not going to win your case. It is very corrupt, CPS says. You're like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in a hole, the rabbit hole. You met the Cheshire cat, and they send you from one room to the next room. That's how CPS is. They're not transparent about their money. They're not transparent about anything they do. They do traffic children, and they will take your children away. And they've lately been doing it without even a warrant or getting your permission, or coming into the home and taking your child. So rule number one is you need an attorney to fight this. And you're probably going to say, well, gee, they give me an attorney. The court-appointed attorney is a lawyer trained in legal matters, not in matters pertaining to dependency. They may know about criminal law, but they don't know about dependency law. Furthermore, they'll have a caseload of 30 or more clients. They won't have time for your case. They won't fight for your case. And social services, the CPS wants you to use the court-appointed attorney because they pay them and they control them, so they can control the outcome. If you and your children all have court-appointed attorneys and your spouse, then you've lost the case. There's no way you're going to win. If they want to do that, then take your child. They will. And it's a money-making business. It's a fast way to adopt children. It's cheap, and there's not very much vetting that goes on. And since we're talking about rules, I have rule number 2, which is organize yourself a notebook to keep track of all your paperwork. Use subject dividers. A very important document is a incident log. It's a time log. And what it does, it tracks all the incidents you have with various people, whether it's CPS, police, or a family member, or your children, or a friend, or whatever the case would be. You write down on the first line date and time and location of the people involved. Then the second line is you do a summary of what the incident was about. The third line is a summary of the outcome. And then you skip it and do the next one. This is important because 6 months from now, you won't remember everything. 2 years from now, you won't. And that's helping you to document your case so you can talk to the judge or you talk to your attorney. It's very important to have documentation. You need to document everything and put it in that notebook. Rule number 3 is you do not talk to social workers or police. You do not let them in your home. They're going to be on a fishing expedition, and they're going to find things in your home you may thought are okay. You want to be represented by an attorney at all this matters. That's your constitutional right. It's a legal matter. You're entitled to representation. And easy way to get out of it is don't give them permission to enter your home. Don't even answer the door. Too many people are killed answering the door. The police have been brutal in the past. Now, I know sometimes it's not the norm, but the problem is that I see the norm. The norm is the police kill people. So don't open the door. That solves that problem there. You're still going to have to talk to them. You still have to talk to them. And another thing, don't talk without your attorney present. If you don't have one, tell them you're going to get one, or not tell you get one. Tell them that you will get back to them with your attorney. You'll meet with them. But when you meet with them, you need a public place so you can document everything. Don't meet at their office. Don't meet at your home. Meet at McDonald's or Starbucks, someplace where it's open in the public and you can record everything if it's out in the public. So, if you happen to run into a social worker in your neighborhood, who's coming to investigate you, you can tell them that, thank you, take their name and thing, but you'll get back to them because you need your attorney present. It's your constitutional right to have an attorney present through all matters of this thing there. And that's one way to get some time to get an attorney or to get your facts together of how you're going to fight this CPS case. Also, be careful about medical trafficking. Medical trafficking, where you bring a child into urgent care emergency room and there's a CPS worker there and they overhear something and interpret it wrong and they suddenly want to take your child. Do not give them your child. They need a warrant. That's one thing I have to emphasize. It's got to be a valid warrant, a warrant that they can see. A warrant that they can see. Same thing goes for having a child. If you're birthing your child, don't let them take your child. They're all the time interpreting things wrong. And they also want to make money off you. It's $1 trillion business. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Rule number 4 is to research the internet about your CPS case. It's very important you word it right. You put the city, the state, and the letters CPS. And then after that, you ask the question, the policy procedure manual, to have a 388 motion filed, or to get anything you want to know about CPS, you put it after the word CPS. And you want to spend at least, 60 hours researching everything you know. That's how you know about things like that. Now, rule number 5 is that you want to make sure that you take all your important documents and put them in a folder or an envelope. I'm talking about your children's birth certificate, your marriage certificate, your driver's license. They can be copies. They don't have to be original. Your shot cards to your children, your medical records to your children, your children's grade reports, those kinds of things, because they'll come up. They'll say, is this the husband of the children? And you have the birth certificates with the children's name and the husband's name. You have a marriage certificate showing that you're legally married. So these are important documents. So don't forget them. So those are the 5 rules. Talked about the 4-way they interact. But you're dealing with a very, very bad agency from my experience. Now, today is a special day for me because it's my birthday. And I'm 75 years old. I'm a dinosaur. I've been fighting CPS since 2010. I lost my job through no fault of my own. And at age 60, I was back out looking for work. And I've been trying to since that time. And now, 15 years later, I'm still out there looking for a career type of job. I have worked in the past, these last 15 years, but I'm looking for a job that will help me with my family because I want to take care of my family. I'm a married man. I have over 42 years of marriage, and then I have 6 children, and I have 3 younger ones and 3 older ones, and I have one in the 40s, two in the 30s, two in the 20s, and one in the teens. And I certainly know about how to raise a family and the things I learned in my fight as CPS. I was just like you, helpless, naive about CPS. I was going through hard times with no work and have to really protect my savings. And I had to hire Vincent Davis to be my attorney because my court appointed was doing nothing for me. So I had to sell my house that I'd worked 45 years for, my beautiful home, to hire Vincent Davis. Now, there's lots of things we can talk about in this podcast. Things like, um, you know, uh, topics. I have 75 topics loaded in from different parts around the um, the country here. Um, I also have um, insights on what the type of social worker you're going to be dealing with. They are not very good people. My case, especially, because I had a social worker retaliate and take our child away from us or coach her child away from us. Now we're going to see if one of my people, Faye Manley, who is a single woman from Kentucky, can talk with me about this podcast. She gives me good insight, and we'll see if she's at home right now.
Hello.
Good morning, Faye.
Morning.
I just wanted to touch base with you to see if you had any insights or anything about CPS.
What?
Any insights about CPS?
Well, Bob, I kind of just woke up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm so glad to share my special day with you. I tell you.
Yeah.
Good morning. And
Did you have a good time at the game?
oh yeah, it was a great time at the game. My team won, so that was good, and it was great to have my son there, so that was even better. And
Awesome.
I am celebrating my 3/4 of a century. I've been on this earth. It's hard to believe 3/4 of a century. That sounds like a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know that.
You're blessed. You're
yeah.
blessed to have been here that long.
Yeah,
A lot of us don't even make it to that number.
that's true. For all you listeners out there, Faye is a single mother, and she's kind of special in a lot of ways to me because she helps my podcast go with a flavor of having someone other than my voice talk. And she had a rough time, a rough go at it. As a child and her adolescent years and as a teenager, she was in and out of foster care 5 times. So her whole childhood to her adult was spent in foster care. And she had some bad times in foster care. She had to go to foster care because her mother had a drug problem. She loves her mother. Her mother passed away, but she loves her mother. And anyway, she was um, put in different homes for foster care. She was molested and raped and tortured and had to do all kinds of weird stuff. And then on top of that, they tried to traffic her, sexual trafficking as a teenager. And she fought it all. She got her high school diploma, and then went to college and got a nursing degree. And her nursing degree, she has a job there. And like all people, they grow up and they want to have children. And she had two children. One was a son, a special needs son, and one was a daughter, a beautiful daughter that was taken from her when she was at 8 months old. And it was no reason. It's just that they wanted to adopt her child. And because she was in foster care, they had a record on her. That's one thing you guys got to be careful about. If you as a child have foster care, it'll work against you. They'll try to take away your child if you have one. And where she's at, she's in Richmond, Kentucky, and she has the cabinet, her CPS, and they are awful. They are awful people. She's gone through so much. And when they took away her daughter, it was the premises that she wasn't fit to take care of her daughter. But she was, because they let her take care of her son. She has a special needs son. And also she ended up being a foster parent to a child that she took in on a weekend basis. And then she adopted him and then raised him to he's 18. And so what I don't
didn't adopt him officially.
Okay. She anyway let him stay with her until he was 18, and then he's gone on his own, been very productive in life. And so what our question is how can a mother be fit to raise a son and raise another boy about the same age? At the time, I think they were both in around the 15s. He may have been 14. And then not be able to take her daughter. And that devastated her, and I don't blame her. I mean, I've lost two daughters myself, so I know the feeling. And so she has been fighting, for getting guardianship of her son's special needs. She also lately opened up her case again because their CPS is called the cabinet, and they had a new ombudsperson, and they had supposedly redone the cabinet. So she wanted them to reopen her case and revisit and see all the damage that they did or the wronging they did. And after a period of time, they kept her hopes up high. And this is just recently. Then they let her down by saying that, what we did was justified, and your daughter was taken, and she's happy. What she wants. Go ahead.
How do you justify taking a child away from a mom, claiming that they're not fit to raise that child, then turn around and give them back a child that has exceptional needs, and then put another child that don't even have any relationship to that, to me, in my home on the weekends, that was in foster care in Lexington, Kentucky. But you claim I'm, not fit to be around my own child, but then you're going to put another foster child in my home?
Yeah.
That don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but okay.
Yeah, it is. It is a hard thing. We all seem to that is a hard thing to address. She wants her child to know, her daughter, who's 12 now, that she loved her daughter so much and that it was not her choice to give up her daughter. That was not her choice. and she wants her daughter to know that. She knows that she's been adopted by foster parents, and she doesn't want to take that child back to live with her. She can if she wanted to, I guess. What's emancipate in Kentucky? The age, is it 12?
No, no. I think the youngest you can do it is 12 or 13.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so right now, if her daughter suddenly went out of the blue and says, I want to go back and live with her mom, she could do that. She could emancipate and do that. But usually when children are taken, and it's a hard thing for a child because a child doesn't understand what's going on, because most of the time the Child Protection Agency doesn't really let the parents or the child know what's going on. There's no communication about the case. They like to keep everybody in the dark. Why? So they can manipulate all the parties. That's why they keep you in the dark. That's why they hope that you take the court-appointed attorney. They want to do everything against you. They want to make it work against you for the sole purpose of the money. Now, Richmond, Kentucky, I think is one of the worst states in the United States for child protection system. And Faye, has told me about so many cases where the judge is corrupt, where a sheriff, a bailiff of the court kills a judge because the judge is sleeping with his young daughter. I mean, there's so much corruption going on where a social worker, is found to be guilty of abusing her own children, but gets a slap on the hand, does not get arrested or, get out of jail card and still do her job, still out there administrating her job. Case after case, you see them on video. For instance, the police come out to interrogate a mom and her children. They're in their yard. And they are violating all, it's her yard, it's her place. But they don't respect boundaries. They don't respect the home. In fact, most of the time, they don't even have a legitimate warrant to take your child or to talk to you and stuff like that.
I actually have them on video recording. County sheriffs here in the county I live in, along with a DCBS social worker, literally stating that they did not need a warrant to take her children.
Yes, now see that? They have their own rules. And it's sad because the police don't really know what they're doing half the time. Well, maybe they do, but I don't know if they get I don't know if they get a kickback, because I'm trying to find out why the police are involved in CPS unless the CPS is giving the sheriff's department a bunch of bonus money and incentives for policemen to cooperate with the whims of the CPS worker, the social worker.
And there was no imminent danger or anything going on in that video.
No.
They can't say, we don't need a warrant because there was an imminent risk to harm for leaving the child there. There was none.
No, they have that clause where they think they can take children if there's imminent danger, and their definition of imminent danger isn't what it's supposed to be. When a child is being caught up with an argument or being abused physically, or a child's being neglected where they're not giving food or shelter or clothing, then it's time for the CPS to intervene. And of course, the police. And a lot of times the police are brought out with the CPS. Some cases that turn bad, where the parents will end up attacking the CPS worker and hurt them or even kill them. So that's why a lot of times they use the police. But then the police act like dummies because they don't know the laws about child protection system and about dependency law or anything like that. All they know is where the social worker tells them to do, they jump to it. It's almost like the police are sitting there chewing their nails, waiting for some action. I mean, you see a lot of movies where a policeman's sitting in a car waiting for some excitement to happen. It isn't like Andy Griffith, where he's got the sheriff and the deputy sheriff, they're clowns and stuff like that. No, the police are very bad, and they have shot some innocent people point blank. I mean, and the lousy excuses that they have. And I'm not saying all policemen are like that. There's over 1,000 children per day that are not being protected from neglect or abuse that CPS misses all the time. So that is really a problem there.
Well, they don't miss those kids. They
No.
don't miss them.
Yeah.
People, you see case after case after case on the news where CPS had been called on these families where these kids have wound up dead, where extended family members have called, school teachers, counselors, doctors have called and reported abuse, and the cabinet would ignore it. And then the child would end up dead, and then all of a sudden, well, they're on there, oh, we're very sorry that the child died, this, that, and the other. But they can't make any comments about it because of confidentiality purposes.
Yeah. We have a guest in our show that has texted a message. Her name is Jennifer Moore. I don't know what city or state she's from, but she says the police are indicated stakeholders. Look it up. Now, I never heard about that. Stakeholders, have you?
The police are what?
Are indicated stakeholders.
I don't know nothing about stakeholders. Like, what do you mean? Like they're invested in it or something?
Well, something like that. She further says, so are the attorneys, the GS, the CASA, CASA. I know what that is and more. The attorney G's. I don't know what she means by attorney G's. Jennifer, you're very welcome in our room. We'd love for you if you want to call in at 626-698-0990. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you'd like to continue texting, please share me your city or county and the state you're in. And we'll definitely, that's a new thing that we haven't heard of. The indicated stakeholders. Look it up. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I mean, here in my county, and I'm in Kentucky, a lot of the cops here are married to social workers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Here's what AI has said. Stakeholders in the child welfare system include children and families, especially those with experience in the system, public child welfare agencies, and local agencies. Here's a fact sheet of the child welfare and guardianship stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in the child welfare system? Its development for OCFS can include children, youth, and families, public welfare agencies, local agencies, advocate groups, advisory board, and service providers. Children and families who have experience in the child welfare system are crucial stakeholders. Now,
Bobby, can you get you a drink of water?
yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was yelling at the game. My voice is really sore from the game.
Yeah.
So I was excited and I was cheering on the team.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
does-
I could tell. So I was like, maybe get a drink of water. It'll make it better.
Here's what it says: a stakeholder is a person, group, organization with an interest, a vested interest or stakes in the decision making and activities of business, organization, or project. So I guess when they're referencing um, the lady that is calls in from, let me see, I have no idea where she's from, but Jennifer Moore, I think, says that the police are indicators of stakeholders. That's a philosophical approach. And I think she means um, that they have some input, I guess, into the CPS matters.
I mean, pretty much all of your local government is involved in some way, financially or whatever, or they donate to it. I mean, they're all involved in it.
Yep, I agree with you on that.
Judges, a lot of judges are involved by, investing in privatized foster agencies. I mean, I could go on for days about it, but supposedly there's no crime in that. So obviously, if you've got a vested interest in something, you're not going to go against that, right?
Nope.
Yeah. And especially if you're married to a social worker, you're not going to go against that either because, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, example of a CPS worker is all you have to do is look at the oh shoot.
You talking about the ladies in Arizona?
Yeah, I had the article pulled up. I haven't looked at it for a while, but now that I've lost the article. Anyway, what I'm talking about is that there were 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona, that were doing the work of CPS. Their entity out there was called Department of Children's Services, DCS. But what made them so unusual is that they were supposedly to protect our children from neglect and abuse, but instead they decided to invest money and buy pink t-shirts, and not about a breast cancer awareness. It was about the idea of sending a message to all the parents out there. And the message was very simply stated on the front of the t-shirt. They stenciled professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put parents, you know where your children are at. Well, the message to parents out there was pretty bad because they paraded to wear these things at Walmart, Kmart, Costco, Sears, Penny's, Target, Best Buys, any big chain department store. And they did that until they were caught. And of course, they were immediately fired, as well as the person in charge of that county DCS there in Prescott. But that hurt the agency because it left them with one person to protect the children from neglect and abuse, to investigate, to answer the phones. One person department is not going to do very much. So, that is one of maybe 10 cases that I have of pretty bad social workers. I don't know. I think what it is that being a social worker gives them power. And some people with power abuse the power or get caught up in it. Now, Jennifer Moore has said something more here, so let's see what she says. Ask yourself why the AGs...
Your phone's breaking up.
Oh, okay. She puts her second message here. Ask yourself why the AGs represent them. Now, I don't know what she means by AGs. I guess
Attorney General?
Yes, that's what it is. Attorney generals represent them. Well, and then she further says social workers are independent service providers. I never heard of that one before. I know that there is usually a boss, a director, and if their agency is all about money, because there's two kinds of social workers. There are the good social workers that actually do try, and then there are the bad social workers that do it because of money. Jennifer further says they appear if by leasing the state emblems, which is legal. This is pretty heavy stuff, Jennifer. Mean by that, it's philosophical approaches that you're using. I'm a layperson, and so if you could maybe express your feelings about CPS a little bit more easier than using terms that maybe you familiar with, but me and my guest on the show, Faye, have a little bit hard to understanding what you're trying to say. We don't know where you're at, so we don't know if it's particular of that area. I've talked to all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., and I've talked to over 600 some people. And this has been going on. I've been doing this for a year, twice a day, 7 days a week. I've not let up for vacations or sick or anything else. So if you could tell me where you're at, then maybe I could understand what you're talking about. But she further says they appear as if lease in the state emblems, which is legal. Now, I don't know if you mean lease in the state. You see, first of all, the child protection system is a government entity. It's also a federal government entity, part of social services. It's mandated by law to protect our children. The thing is the way it's being done lately has been really bad in a lot of cases. I realize there's good CPS workers out there. There's bad ones. As far as attorneys go, or attorney generals, or CASA, or Lighten, or all these other ombudspersons, all that stuff, you got to be leery of all these kinds of individuals because their common goal is to go fishing. They're trying to find something against you and use it against you. That's why
they pretty much all get paid by the same hand.
Yeah, they all get paid by the same hand, which is the federal government. The federal government runs CPS. It isn't a private enterprise. and it isn't by a group of policemen either, or it's not a gang. It's all a government entity, but it's gone bad. It's gone rogue because they found out that they can make a lot of money, and I'm talking about trillions of dollars taking a child in. There's an incentive given in 1979. President Clinton enacted a quota thing where you could get more money from the government for getting more people involved in CPS, meaning they are actually given incentive to get children into foster care because they know they get more money. Money is the root of all evil, and that's what's taking these people. Go ahead, Faye.
And in order to get more money from the federal dollars, they have to remove whatever year, say last year they removed 6,000 kids. Well, the next year they have to remove 7,000 or 8,000 in order to get the federal dollars.
Yes. That's what he meant about money. Maybe it was an idea that they're taking too long with kids in foster care, and that the act of 1979 was to alleviate that, but it presented a new problem where now they forget about family reunification and forget about returning the children to the best parents, which are the biological parents. And I think that's what's happened now. We create one thing and then we do a negative thing. So CPS is in a lot of problems right now because there's so many cases of families being torn apart for no reason, or families that are torn apart for a good reason, like drugs. A lot of times people get involved in drugs, but they can be rehabilitated. There are programs, and you can be tested and everything else and be able to bring a good family back together again. And the effort should be that. The emphasis should always be family reunification. Never exhaust trying. Like, always try. That should be, your adoption into foster care should be a last resort. If the parents are uncooperative, if the parents aren't taking the classes, if the parents aren't correcting their behaviors, they have no choice to put them into foster care. But foster care needs to be controlled. It needs to be well-vetted individuals that want to help out children, not abuse the children, molest the children. That's what it seems like foster care has become. There isn't a really heavy vetting process where they're screened at the state level or the federal level. And it seems like if you want to adopt a child, you just become a foster care mother or father, and you can adopt a child within 6 months. And that, to me, is ludicrous because regular adoption takes years and lots of money to adopt a child.
And that's why everybody chooses to go to foster care, because you don't have to go through all that.
Right.
And it don't cost any money.
Right.
So,
plus, they give you money in foster care families. They give you incentives. And
tax write-offs. They give you free college for your kid. They give you all kinds of freebies.
I agree.
And then not to mention here in Kentucky, if they care so much about kids, they wouldn't take their foster parent search signs where they're begging for people to be foster parents and place them in the most drug-ran communities.
Yeah.
Like, why would you put foster parents needed in a overly drug-ran community? Like, what do you really think is going to apply to that, especially when you're offering cash incentives for them to become foster parents?
Yeah.
And knowing the track history of the cabinet here in my state, not vetting people well that become foster parents. So, yeah, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. So if they cared about kids, you would think, and their protection, that you would think they would put those signs in better communities instead of putting them where there's tons of drugs.
Yeah.
I see signs every single day where there's nothing but drugs in those communities, but there's foster care wanted signs, foster parent wanted signs all over those communities.
Yep. Because it's all about the money thing. It's all about money.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. I already know this, but it's just sickening to think you are a foster agency. You are foster, you're social workers, and you are out recruiting foster parents from drug-ran communities. Like, they're ridden with drugs, riddled with it. And it's just like, where is your common sense? Why would you want to recruit foster parents or potential foster parents from these communities that are riddled with drug users and addicts and this and that? I mean, makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you to what you said there. It's a sad state of affairs what has happened to.
Not to mention too, Bob, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I gotta say it before I forget it.
No problem.
Not to mention too, these communities that they're placing these signs for foster parents are also not just riddled with drug addicts and drug dealers. It's also riddled with the most sex offenders in the neighborhood that are registered in that area.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? Why, as a social worker, would you place a sign somewhere like that, knowing that area is bad? I
mean,
I don't. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, it is okay. I mean, this is a show that people are allowed to talk about CPS and what is happening to your family and your children. Like we've had this morning, Jennifer Moore talk about a philosophical approach of CPS. She's used a lot of, words that I'm trying to understand what she's trying to get across here. And I still don't know where she's from, but there appears as if by leasing the state emblems, which is legal. I don't know what she means by that.
I don't either.
I mean, Jennifer,
maybe she needs to call in and explain it, because her texting it's not really, not registering.
Yeah, Jennifer, you need to be more simplified with Faye and I. We're trying to understand what you're trying to get across. I think you're basically saying how corrupt upper management is and how corrupt the attorney generals and the CASAs and the Lightem and the ombudsperson. These are all individuals who are supposed to help out. But you see, the biggest problem is the money. You can't hide the fact that people get greedy with money. And if money comes in so easy, $1 trillion is a lot of money. $1 trillion. I mean, it used to be thought a million was, then billion, now we're at trillion. But it's easy money. All CPS has to do is show up your door and say, we have a complaint that you're abusing your children, or we have a complaint you're neglecting your children. Can we come in? They're very, very tricky because they want your permission. And you can say they're very craftily to them, no, you cannot come in. I need to talk to my attorney first. Well, right there, they're going to back off if you say you're going to talk to your attorney. They don't know if you have an attorney or not, and maybe you don't, and you have to get an attorney. But at least gives you some chance, because they're going to say permission, and they're going to also say, can we look at your house? Can you talk to us about these allegations? Right away, what you say and what you do and allow them in the home is going to open a whole can of worms. And if you're really low income and you can't afford an attorney, and you certainly don't know what CPS is or what the purpose of it is, you're going to end up losing your children right away, because they'll say, we need to take the children because they're in imminent danger. Now, in my case, my 3 children were in school. They go to school, 5 days a week, at least 5 days a week. I know my son, who played football, went there 6 days a week. He only had 1 day off a week and 2 weeks off a year. And his football was part of his academics. And believe me, he was not easy academics. Physics and calculus, engineering classes are hard classes. And they also strive to take advanced placement classes. That means classes that are taught at the college level at high school. So my children were far from being in danger. And there was nothing in danger that would have hurt them at the home. So,
hey, Bob, I was going to read something.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, she was bringing up CASAs. Well, you don't have to have any real level of education or any degree or any extensive training to become a CASA. You could become a CASA. I could become a CASA.
Right.
In Kentucky, you only are required to be 21 years old. You have to pass a background check, of course, and a registry check, and literally complete 30 hours of training. You have to be available for court appearances, and also you have to commit to the program until at least your first case is closed, which could take up to 18 plus months.
Right.
You don't need any specific level of education, certification, or experience in particular field. However, you should have a strong sense of compassion and caring for children, and be organized, observant, diligent, and timely.
Right. Because
that's it. You don't have to have any type of degree, any experience in the field, and you can become a court-appointed special advocate. No particular education, just 30 hours of training, and you must be 21 years old.
Right, right.
And these people literally go into court and they submit reports and they submit their opinions, and a lot of times the CASA is just as bad as the agency with the social workers.
They're an extra set of ears is what the CASA is. We had CASAs.
Yeah, 90% of the time the CASA is just as bad.
Right, because each of our children had a CASA. We as parents each had a CASA. And all they do is they eavesdrop. And they want you to express your feelings. And, oh, no, we're not going to tell the CPS workers. But they're added ears to the CPS worker. So you can't trust
they actually write reports to the judge, the CASA does.
Right, right. So anyway, our CASAs in Orange County were horrible. And so I'm going to have to curtail our discussion, only because we've run over 3 minutes over, which is the first time I think I've let a show go that long, because I enjoyed talking with you, Faye. And also we had Jennifer Moore in our room, who's philosophical, talked about approach. And then we have Stephanie Davila, and says the system is a joke. Well, Stephanie, would you like to tell us maybe in the future show, because we'll be on again at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time this evening. And maybe you could come in and talk about why this system is a joke or what you can do about it. Jennifer, we invite you back again. Thank you for participating. And again, Faye, thank you for being, so helpful in making my podcast go so well. And so with that said, I want to thank you, Faye. I want to thank you, Jennifer. And I want to thank you, Stephanie. This is Bob Pace going to sign off, but it's important that you listen to my attorney, Vincent Davis, again, who's going to talk about his upcoming show this morning. He has a show at 10 o'clock, so please show up for it.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.